Hey everyone, my name is Chelsea. Welcome to Little Mountain Ranch. Welcome to my kitchen. I'm really happy to have you here with me today where we are going to make one of my all-time favorite desserts. This is my mom's English Trifle recipe, and whenever we go to my mom's and it's one of my children's birthdays, this is usually what they request because it is so good. There are lots of different modifications to this recipe to make it actually a really easy recipe to make. I'm going to be kind of doing a hybrid between most of the ingredients being made from scratch and some of them being store-bought. First thing that you need for this recipe is an angel food cake. You can use a store-bought angel food cake recipe, or you can use a from scratch angel food cake recipe. I do have a really great from scratch angel food cake recipe that I sent out to my newsletter list last week. If you're not on my newsletter and you didn't get that recipe, I'll send it out again in this week's newsletter. Usually I send out my newsletters on Fridays. So if you haven't signed up for it, you can sign up for it in the link down below. Actually, now that I think about it, I think that I shared this angel food cake recipe on a video last week. If I did, I'll link that recipe for you up here as well. So there's lots of different places that you can get that recipe. So mine is actually just finishing out chilling in the freezer outside. And now we are going to put together a custard. You can use Bird's custard mix, that's what my mom uses, or you can make a from scratch custard like I'm going to do today. I will link the recipe for the custard that I'm making down in the show notes for you as well. So for the custard, we're going to need some cornstarch, some vanilla, we need 4 eggs, we need milk, probably a little bit of salt, I'm not sure. I'll have to double check the recipe, but let's get started. So 4 cups of milk into our saucepan. A tablespoon of vanilla. And a teaspoon of butter. We're going to heat this up on the stove just until it's simmering. And while that is coming to a simmer, we're going to add our 4 eggs, a half a cup of sugar, three tablespoons of cornstarch, and I buy my cornstarch in bulk from either Organic Matters here in BC or Horizon Distributors, and you can buy organic cornstarch that way, which is kind of nice. So we're just going to whisk these together. Just going to make sure this is well mixed, and then turn our heat down here and slowly add our egg mixture to our milk. So now we just want to cook this until it coats the back of the spoon, just like so. It's nice and thick, perfect. Okay, so this next part of this recipe, I'm going to give you the instructions for doing it with Jell-O, which is the way my mom does it. I'm going to be using some beef gelatin, and the protocol for both is pretty much the same. So we want some fruit, and in this case I have a mix of strawberries, blackberries, and cherries here, and I've heated some up on the stove and mashed them down because we do need a couple of cups of fruit juice. Put 1 cup of juice into a small pot, bring it to a boil, remove it to heat, and stir in the Jell-O powder. And what my mom uses is the Jell-O that where there's no extra sugar added to it. So I am going to be adding a little bit of sugar to my fruit juice just to sweeten it ever so slightly, and then I'll be adding a couple of tablespoons of my gelatin here. So we're going to do the 1 cup with the Jell-O, or the 1 cup with a couple of tablespoons of the gelatin. Then we're going to remove that from the heat and add 1 cup of cold fruit juice, and then we're going to mix in around a quart or so, or however many berries you actually want. And then we'll be pouring this over our angel food cake once we pull that out of the freezer. And we're going to use this pretty glass dish here. The nice thing about using the glass dish is then you can see all the layers of your trifle in it. So I'm going to bring my fruit juice to a boil over there and add in a couple of tablespoons. We'll do 2. So we have our juice here, and add our gelatin. So I'm going to add around a little over a 1/4 cup of sugar to this. So we have a little bit of juice in the bottom of this, not a ton, but I'm going to call it good. And then we're going to add our juice, our gelatin, and whoops, good thing I'm wearing an apron. Then we're going to add our juice and our gelatin mixture to this. And then we're going to set this aside to chill. And then we're going to grab our angel food cake. And we're going to tear this up and put it in the bottom of our dish here. And we're going to pour our fruit mixture on top of this. It's already starting to thicken nicely. Okay, now we're going to pour our custard on the top of this. And now we're going to let this chill in the fridge until it's cool, and then we're going to make some whipping cream. Okay, we're going to add a little bit of vanilla, just a tablespoon and a bit of sugar. Okay, there we go. Some nice thick whipping cream for the top of our trifle. I have set my custard aside here. I love custard more than almost anything else. So I'm heating up some berries so that I can have just some plain berries and custard, because it's so good. Maybe a little whipping cream on top too. So basically the trifle without the cake. While that is chilling, we are going to put together a super quick and easy lunch that is not going to heat up my kitchen. I would be very curious to know if the recipe that I'm about to share with you is one that you've had before, or if you've had anything similar, because I haven't. I grew up eating this recipe, but I've never had it anywhere else. So I would love to know. Basically what we're gonna do is we're going to take some breakfast sausages and we are going to fry them up with onions and apples. We're going to simmer them for a little bit with some apple juice, a little cayenne pepper, a few other seasonings, and then we're going to have that over rice. So couldn't be easier, but is absolutely delicious. I would also like to know if you eat pork chops with applesauce. This is something that growing up my mom always did. She always had a bowl of applesauce on the table when we would eat pork chops, and we would have the applesauce with our pork chops. So this is kind of the same sort of idea with the sausage links with the cut up apples. So we're gonna cut up 3 Granny Smith apples and a large onion. The best apples to use for this recipe are a more tart apple, like a Granny Smith apple. But I don't have Granny Smith apples, so I'm just going to use what I have. I honestly don't even know what kind of apples these are. We got these at the fruit stand the other day. And we're just going to do 2 instead of 3 because they're really big. We're going to cut up our sausage links into bite-sized pieces. I need a better knife than that. That knife is not going to work. Better. So to our sausage, our apples, and our onions, we're going to add a 1/4 cup of brown sugar, a 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper, a tablespoon or so of salt, pepper, and then a couple cups of apple juice. And then we're just going to let this simmer for a little bit until our rice is done. Oh, it smells so good. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's push all this mess to the side. We'll clean it up later. Grab our trifle, which has set up perfectly, and top with whipping cream. Look at that. It looks so good. So now we're just going to pop this into the fridge and we'll scoop some up for dessert in a little bit. Okay, we have our stuff ready here. What my mom recommends doing, and she does this with quite a few of her recipes, is cooking your rice the day before and then chilling it in the fridge overnight, because when you add it into your recipe, it tends to just keep the grains separated and it doesn't kind of go mushy. I unfortunately never plan ahead that far, so I always just make it fresh with it. So you're gonna mix this all together. And then I put my rice in here so it's a little bit undercooked so that it can finish cooking and absorb all that apple juice. All right, let's give it a try. Yum. I'm not a big fan of sausage, but when done this way, it's so delicious. Let's scoop up a little of our trifle, shall we? If I had some fresh strawberries or blueberries or something like that, I would probably decorate the top. I've had this about 100 times in my life, so I know how good it is. It's so tasty. And with the homemade custard, so delicious. Relatively easy to do, but kind of fancy, so the perfect dessert to feed to company. All right, friends, that is going to be it for me today. We are actually heading out to go camping this afternoon. So we're going to get fed up on all this delicious food and then head out and have some fun at the lake. I hope that you have a fantastic couple of days, and I'll catch you again next time. Bye.